In the early morning of Wednesday, 23rd February 1966, a group of traitors from the Ghana Armed Forces planned to overthrow Ghana's First Republic in a military coup. This treason was organized and perpetrated by two army officers, namely Colonel Emmanuel Kotoka, commander of the 2nd Infantry Brigade, and Major Afrifa of the 2nd Brigade. Emmanuel Kotoka had only recently been put in charge of the Kumasi garrison. In the early morning of that Wednesday, the garrison at Kumasi, numbering 600 men, was ordered to move southwards to Accra. On the way, the convoy of some 35 vehicles was met and halted by Colonel E.K. Kotoka and Major Afrifa. Afrifa was left in charge, whilst Kotoka went to Accra to report progress to Commissioner of Police John Willie Kofi Harley and to find some soldier better known than himself to be the nominal head of the revolt. The man chosen was Major General Ankrah, who had been forced to retire by Nkrumah in 1965. The troops were told that Nkrumah intended sending them to fight in Vietnam and in Rhodesia. He also told them that Nkrumah had taken £8 million and deserted Ghana. The only way to save Ghana and to avoid being sent to fight in Vietnam, the troops were told, was to take Flagstaff House. At the time of the coup, Nkrumah was on a peace mission to Vietnam, yet there was no peace in his country.
On my right is Major General E.K. Kotoka, who is the second member or the first member of the National Liberation Council. We have called you here this morning for one specific reason, and that is you've heard the name of one Amuhia who has associated himself with this coup and had published himself in the British papers and most of the papers that is the brain behind us. And we want to prove that we were not instigated by anybody, neither we want to refute any allegation that ACA or God knows what instigated us to carry out this coup. This coup was carried out completely because of the things that had happened in Ghana and because of the tyranny and the despotism of Kwame Nkrumah, the deposed president. Everybody in Ghana was fed up with it. And therefore you could see the spontaneous result which followed the coup. You would have seen when you were coming probably thinking that Ghana would have been put under curfew or all other things, but nothing was done. There was no brain behind it. It was work from us and from within, without the aid of anybody, any foreign country or any country.
So, who were these traitors who masterminded such a treasonable offense against the state? In this video, I examine the life and career of these traitors who betrayed Ghanaians and the 1960 Constitution with this treasonable act. Do not forget to share, like, and subscribe to this channel. Who was Lieutenant Joseph A. Ankrah? Ankrah was the head of state of Ghana from 1966 to 1969. Joseph Ankrah was born in Accra to a Ga family on 18th August 1915. Ankrah began his schooling in 1921 at the Wesleyan Methodist School in Accra, where he was nicknamed Ankrah Patapa for his forcefulness in arguments and always playing leadership roles among his mates. In 1932, he entered Accra Academy, where he established himself as a footballer. He obtained a senior Cambridge School certificate in 1937. He then joined the Ghana Civil Services. Ankrah joined Gold Coast Regiment in 1939. On the outbreak of the Second World War, Ankrah was mobilized into the Royal West African Frontier Force. While his brigade was in East Africa in 1940, he was transferred to the Record Office in Accra with the rank of Warrant Officer Class 2 and made second in command. In October 1946, he went to the Marshfield Officer Cadet Training Unit in the United Kingdom and graduated in February 1947 as the first African officer in the Gold Coast Army. He was commissioned a lieutenant in 1947 and became the first African camp commandant at the Army headquarters. He was later made the first Ghanaian chief instructor of the education unit. He was promoted major in 1956 and became the first African to command an all-African company, the Charlie Company of the 1st Battalion at Tamale, Ghana. He later became Lieutenant Colonel and took over the whole battalion. He rose to the rank of Colonel by 1960, at a time when there were few Ghanaian officers at that level. During the United Nations operation in the Congo, he was the brigade commander of the force based at Luluambo, Kasai in the present-day Democratic Republic of Congo. He was the only Ghanaian awarded the Military Cross in Leopoldville for acts of unsurpassed gallantry in Congo in 1961. The citation read, "With great common sense, maturity, and tact, this officer handled a delicate situation which otherwise would have created grave consequences in Leopoldville and many parts of the Congo." Colonel Ankrah, with complete disregard for his own life, disarmed an Armée Nationale Congolese soldier who, with a loaded Stern machine carbine, attempted to shoot Mr. Lumumba. He carried the Prime Minister to safety in a vehicle which was fired on by ANC ambushers. Had it not been for the quick and bold action of Colonel Ankrah, at the risk of his life, Mr. Lumumba's life would have been taken, with untold consequences at the time. After his experience in the Congo, he was promoted brigadier, then Major General, becoming the first Ghanaian commander of the Ghana Army in 1961 and then Deputy Chief of Defense Staff. He was dismissed from the Ghana Army in July 1965 on suspicion of involvement in a coup plot. He married a third wife, Mildred Christiana, and had 18 children. He died in 1992 of natural cause. Who was General Akwesi Amankwa Afrifa? He was the head of state of Ghana and leader of the military government in 1969, and then the chairman of the Presidential Commission between 1969 and 1970. He was born on 24th April 1936 at Mampong, Ashanti in the Gold Coast. After his secondary education at Adisadel College, he joined the Ghana Army in 1957 and was sent to the Regular Officers Training School. From there, he attended the Mons Officer Cadet School, Aldershot, England in 1958. He then completed officer training at the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst, England. In 1961, he was at the School of Infantry, United Kingdom. In 1960, Afrifa was commissioned as second lieutenant in the Ghana Armed Forces. From 1962 up to 1964, he was the General Staff Officer in the Army. He next attended the Defense College at Teshi in Accra. Afrifa was one of the officers who served in the Ghana contingent of the United Nations operations in the Congo. Afrifa rose through the ranks to become a major. He was also staff officer in charge of army training and operations by 1965. was based at Kumasi at the headquarters of the 2nd Infantry Brigade, now the Central Command of the Ghana Army. Following the coup, Afrifa became one of the 8 members of the National Liberation Council, NLC. Afrifa also went through a series of rapid promotion, rising from Major to Lieutenant General in the 3 years his government was in power. He was also appointed the Commissioner Minister for Finance and Trade. The head of state of Ghana and chairman of the NLC, Joseph Arthur Ankrah, was forced to resign in April 1969 following the bribery scandal involving Francis Nzeribu, a Nigerian businessman. He was replaced by Afrifa as the head of state. Ankrah was accused of effecting payments to influence the results of a poll which showed him ahead of Afrifa and Kofi Abifah-Bugia for the national election due in August 1969. Afrifa was a supporter of Bugia, the leader of the Progress Party, who was a candidate in the forthcoming National Assembly elections. Afrifa handed over to Bugia, who became the Prime Minister of Ghana on inauguration of the Second Republic. He continued as the chairman of the newly created Presidential Commission until August 1970, when he was replaced by Ni Ama Olunu, the Speaker of Parliament in the Second Republic. Following the fall of a champion, the new SMC under General Fred Ekufu organized presidential and parliamentary elections on 18 June 1979 for a multi-party National Assembly. The elections were, however, held under the government of the Armed Forces Revolutionary Council, AFRC, as the SMC itself had been overthrown on 4 June 1979. Afrifa stood for and won the Mampon North constituency seat on the tickets of the United National Convention, whose roots were from the Progress Party of Kofi Abifah-Bugia. On 26 June 1979, 8 days after his election, Afrifa was executed and thus never had the opportunity to take his seat in the Parliament of the Third Republic of Ghana. He was succeeded in Parliament by Ebenezer Augustus Akwesi. At the time of his execution, he was married to Christiane Afrifa, with whom he had 9 children. Who was Emmanuel Kotoka? Emmanuel Kotoka was born at Alakule, a village in the Keta district of the Volta region of the Gold Coast. He completed his basic education at the Alakule Roman Catholic School and later the Angologa Senior School in 1941. He started training as a goldsmith but switched to a career in the military. In July 1947, he was enlisted as a private in the infantry school of the Gold Coast Regiment at Teshi in Accra. He rose through the ranks, becoming a sergeant in 1948 and later company sergeant major in 1951. In 1952, he was among some West African soldiers selected for training at Eton Hall Officer Cadet School in the United Kingdom. In 1954, he was commissioned as the lieutenant and seconded to the British Army on the Rhine. On his return to the Gold Coast, he was made a platoon commander of the 2nd Gold Coast Regiment of Infantry. He rose to become the second in command and in 1959 became the platoon commander with the rank of captain. He was promoted to the rank of major later that year. In 1960, he attended the company commander's course at the School of Infantry in Westminster, England. In 1960, he was the commander of the company of the detachment of the 2nd Battalion of the Ghana Army, which made up of Ghana's contingent in the United Nations operations in the Congo, deployed in the capital, Leopoldville, now Kinshasa, in the Democratic Republic of Congo. He was regarded as a national hero following his deployment. He was awarded the Ghana Service Order for exceptional bravery for distinguished service in the Congo in 1963. He later became the commander of the 2nd Infantry Brigade, now the Northern Command of the Ghana Army, located at Kumasi. In 1965, the then Lieutenant Colonel Kotoka was transferred to Kumasi, where he met and became friends with the then Major Akwesi Amankwa Afrifa, an officer in the 2nd Brigade of the Ghana Army. The two are generally credited with being among the key conspirators behind the first bloody coup in Ghana on 24 February 1966, which brought an end to the First Republic. They codenamed it Operation Cold Chop. It was Kotoka who announced the coup to the nation early that morning from the broadcasting house of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, the official radio station in Ghana. On April 17, 1967, there was an abortive coup attempt involving junior officers of the Reconnaissance Regiment located at Ho in the Volta region. It was codenamed Operation Jetai Boy. It led to the killing of Kotoka by Lieutenant Moses Yeboah and Lieutenant Sam Arthur after heavy fighting. Lieutenant Moses Yeboah and another colleague were later tried and executed by a military tribunal.
GH 551 Lieutenant Samuel Benjamin Arthur. The tribunal sentenced you to death by firing squad. March him out. GH 601 Lieutenant Moses Yeboah. The tribunal sentenced you to death by firing squad. March him out. GH 976 Second Lieutenant Osepoko. The tribunal sentenced you to 30 years imprisonment of hard labor.
The Ghana International Airport was renamed Kotoka International Airport in his memory. He was killed at the spot, which is now part of the forecourt of the airport, and his statue stands at that point. He was married to Madame Monica Kotoka. How should posterity judge these individuals? Should they be celebrated as heroes of the 1966 coup or traitors of the First Republic? Share your view in the comment section.